Hey everybody, it is Romania Black. I normally wait a week in between episodes just to kind of read the comment section that you guys post, but I'll be honest, I couldn't wait for this episode. I can't believe episode 5 left with the cliffhanger. Like, what show does that? I couldn't wait. So it's the next day. I had to record episode 6, and then after that I'm gonna make myself stop and wait a little bit in between. But I wanted to see what happens with King's character so bad. Just recapping, obviously Haiji has placed the brakes on them having part-time jobs, which that is a bit extreme. Although it's coming from a place of, okay, if we're going to get serious, yeah, we need to. And Haiji does bring up that they can survive with their allowances. They just can't have, like, all the extra stuff, which I don't know who all has part-time jobs in this show. I know that Nico does, kind of. We know Musa does. And we know that, obviously, King's trying to get a job. And we know that, did Shindo and the twins have part-time jobs? I'm not sure. We definitely know that Musa does. I don't know if the law student has a part-time job because he talks about going to the clubs and, like, taking it easy. But we know Nico, Musa, and King obviously are in that either have jobs or trying to get jobs realms. And the other characters, I don't know if they have part-time jobs or not. But yeah, so the last episode was a lot more somber than the episodes prior had been. Like episode 4, where Haiji and Prince had their speech, their empowered speech. Like that was such a high, like, energy and interactive episode. And then the last episode was a lot more quiet and subtle. And I want to say that what I really like about Kakeru, and I've thought about this since watching episode 5, is unlike, like, the characters like Kageyama and Haru from Haikyuu and Free, they're very similar characters to Kakeru. The thing is, with Kageyama and Haru, other characters in the show comment about their quiet, kind of social distancing, social awkwardness. Like in Haikyuu, a lot of people say, oh yeah, Kageyama struggles with communication. A lot of characters tell us, the audience, that, and they tell each other that in the series. And then with Haru from Free, what I've watched so far, he's very reserved and quiet. And other characters like Nagisa notes, oh, he smiles on the inside. And they comment on him. But the actual characters themselves don't really come out and give a lot of introspection about themselves. They do sometimes, but not like this early on in a series, like what Kakeru's doing. Like Kakeru came out last episode and literally said, I struggle with communicating my emotions and I want to get better at that. Like that self-awareness that's your trait, like you're quiet and meek and you have trouble expressing your emotions, like that's a pretty big thing. And for the main character to come out, for one, the main character to be like that, but also for him to come out and say that about himself and that he's aware of it, I think is really, really cool and really important to acknowledge. And of course, Haiji is exactly the opposite. He's very outspoken. He has no trouble communicating. He clearly just says whatever he's thinking. Is he optimistic all the time? He projects that confidence and optimism, but I'm not sure if he really is optimistic all the time. I think a lot of that is a front. I could be wrong, but I get that impression that he's really, like, exuding all this confidence, some of it being a front to how he might actually feel. I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out later on. But anyway, so this episode is called The King's New Clothes. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with King to, like, get his character more fleshed out and developed. I'm curious why he's so obsessed with getting this job, what that has to do with things. And so I'm really curious to see the introspective element of that and get some insight into what he's thinking. So who knows? But anyway, I'm so glad y'all are joining me watching Run with the Wind. I am loving this show so far. It's it and Banana Fish. I mean, Free, I love Free. It's my little dose of sugar. But Banana Fish and this show, side by side, are making for a really cool experience watching. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoy the episode. The link is down below to the reaction. I am going to start doing a little bit of discussion during the ED of each episode, probably because my thoughts are like, I can't contain it. But then come back here and we'll talk more about the episode. So I hope you all enjoy. We are going to start episode 6 of Run with the Wind here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. It looked for a second like Haiji was standing in front of somebody, and I'm wondering if we see Sakaki there and he's like cut him off, like back off. I hope he's like get out. Oh my gosh, this episode. Oh, I love that this show is tackling things in such a mature way. I know a lot of you have been like, "Oh, it's a seinen, it's not a shonen. It's a little bit more mature," and you can tell. It's like I love the humor in this is so good between all the characters and it all fits. But the conversations these characters are having are so mature and down to earth and real that it really makes this show kind of stand out for me. Like I said in the ED, we got so many little subtle things about Haiji in this episode, which were just really intriguing. One being the fact of him talking with the coach, and the coach being like, "Yeah, we don't have any money. If we had money, I would have fixed this place up." And what stood out in that scene to me is that Haiji was so serious. Like it wasn't Haiji's normal like we can do it. It was him being like, "Okay, coach, what do we have to do?" Like him showing like his true self in that moment. The other thing was when King finally confronted him about like why do you run? Why do you do this? And Haiji saying, if you stand still, it can trigger anxiety, and it did for me. Like that was such a telling line. Him being like, I can't sit still because that just stresses me out. So it kind of gives a little insight into why he wants to run because he needs to keep moving so that he has mobility. And I noticed as soon as he revealed that little bit about himself, because Nico says prior to that scene, Nico tells Kakeru, he's like, Haiji's always kind of been the same. Like, he's just always had this sparkle in his eye for running, and he's always been optimistic and, like, really gung-ho about everything. But in that moment where Haiji, like, kind of strips the wall down a little bit and is like, no, I've had anxiety about reality just like you. But this running helps me get past that and run. I love that line, running with reality. You're not running away from reality, you're running with it. I love that line. That's so good. And I noticed that as soon as he had that conversation, Yuki and Nico specifically were suddenly gung ho with getting King back onto the team. Like, especially Yuki, that surprised me. Yuki was like, okay, respect, man, respect, Haiji. We get what you're trying to do. Get back on the team, King. And Nico as well. And then finally, like I said, that scene at the end with Kakeru and him, I think I could watch a whole show of just them standing in a kitchen having a conversation. I think I could watch a whole 30-minute episode of that because it's their dynamic is so intriguing. Kakeru trying to like figure Haiji out and Haiji being like slowly like stripping away the varnish, the surface of him being always like super confident and saying, admitting I don't know exactly what running is either. I'm trying to figure it out, and it's taken him 4 years to do it. And there was a moment in this episode that worries me a little bit, and that's when Kakeru asks Nico how Haiji is as a runner, and we've seen him like jog, but we haven't seen him full out run. And so Nico's like, hey, I've never really seen him run. So that concerns me. I'm like, wait, does that mean Haiji can or can't? Because he's not really ran at all during practices. So I'm like, he's ran alongside Prince. He's jogged and he's been keeping times, but he's not actually full out ran. So that concerns me a little bit. I'm like, is he just trying to is he saving all his energy for that? But at the same time, you talk about endurance and stamina, that concerns me a little bit. But I'm not going to think too hard about it right now. But yeah, King's whole idea of just thinking that he has to get a job and feeling like this is what he has to do. And him and Shindo's friendship, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. I didn't realize that Shindo was letting King use all his stuff until he was like, no, you can use the TV, it's fine. But Shindo's explanation of I started doing it because I wanted to see if that made a difference, and it did. And him encouraging King and them wearing the shirts, the lame shirts, the advertising shirts, and oh, that was so sweet. So sweet. I don't think they're going to do well at the track meet. at all. I don't think they're going to do well at this first track meet, but it's kind of like what Haiji said. They've got to get that dose of reality and see what they're up against before they can be motivated to move on. I think the ones I'm concerned about are obviously Kakeru, because Kakeru just has this complex, and I'm worried that whatever the result of the race is, he's going to freak out about it, because that's his character right now. And then Prince and Yuki, I'm concerned about them because I think some of the characters, like no matter how Shindo, the twins, and Musa do, I think that they're going to be fine and be motivated to move forward. Kakeru and Yuki worry me. I think Nico would stick with it. King, I think, will at this point stick with it. But Kakeru and Yuki and Prince worry me a lot. So I'm like, I don't know. And this episode was just really, really, really good. Like a good conclusion to that. We get more into Haiji's character. Kakeru is curious about Haiji. Like, dude, what is up with this guy? This show's good. And I love how we're dealing with these topics in such a mature and just refreshing way. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. We'll come back. The track meets next. I'm really excited. I'm really nervous. That jerk face is going to be there, Sakaki, and I just hope Haiji shuts him down and is like, get out. Get out right now. Just like plays JoJo and tells him to leave. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you all again soon with more Run with the Wind. Bye.